where the silence falls. Echoes of laughter haunt these walls. Memories linger like whispers in the night. Every corner feels empty without your light. A heart once whole, now shattered and torn. Every day feels like the calm before the storm. Chasing shadows of the moments we shared. In this world of sorrow, I'm lost and bare. A heart once whole, now shattered and torn. Every day feels like the calm before the storm. Chasing shadows of the moments we share. In this world of sorrow, I'm lost and bare. Shadows of goodbye that linger on. In the depths of grief, I'm feeling so wrong. But your spirit lives on in the love we knew.
Yes. I just came across this trial. It's the Leilani Simon, day 3, and her. She murdered her child, and they found the child in the landfill. Oh shoot! Sorry.
Out here just twiddling our thumbs. So I'm going to have to ask you to step back to the deliberations room so we can deal with those legal matters.
Jury's exiting.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Hilliard, I'll turn to you.
Your Honor, the state's put me on notice that they're going to attempt to get into some text messaging. It looks like beginning on or around September 25th of 2022 up to, and I don't want to put words in Mr. Dean's mouth, but it looks like through maybe the day of October 4th, 2022, of an alleged affair between Ms. Simon and an unknown subject by the name of Craig. And the text messages were provided in discovery, and they were part of the phone extraction, and they were done pursuant to the search warrant. If I'm making a statement, let me know, Tim. However, the main thing is the motion in limine I'm making is to exclude these text messages as they're more prejudicial than probative, number one. Number two, they don't relate to any material allegation in the indictment. None of the false statements accounts are in relation to these text messages. Number two and number three, I don't think that they do anything other than attempt to introduce her character into evidence and interject her character improperly. So for those reasons, I make a motion to exclude any testimony regarding these text messages back and forth between the unknown subject, Craig. So I think that's short, succinct, to the point. So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hilliard. Mr. Dean?
The court will remember that our motion pertaining to intrinsic evidence that we intended to introduce listed as one of those categories, evidence of tension, unhappiness between the defendant and her boyfriend. And that has now been ruled admissible. This specific aspect of that, I think, is, I don't know that we explicitly addressed this on this past Thursday, but the original motion, part of it was, and this is in there, the court can look back, and things were so bad between the two of them that it pushed the defendant to commence a sexual relationship with her drug dealer as a form of solace in the weeks leading up to Quentin's disappearance. And this would be evidence of that. As Mr. Hilliard said, these text messages extend from September 25th to October 4th, so they're tightly connected in time to the day of the crime. And I'll talk just briefly about what they show. I have, as a matter of fact, I'll approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 83.
All right,
I have a copy of it as well.
thank you.
Here's how it comes up naturally in this portion of Detective Lemon's investigation. At this point, we've just seen this interview, these interviews yesterday, where she identified the drug dealer whom she saw that night as Red. Okay, she calls him Red. Sometime after that, but still, this is the night of October 5th, early morning hours of October 6th. They go through her phone in some more detail, and they find a bunch of text messages between her and a contact saved as Craig. And they ask her who Craig is, and she says Craig and Red are the same person. So she's identifying Craig now as her drug dealer, and not just any drug dealer, but the ones that she ran off to that night after getting into an argument with the defendant about his lack of sexual desire for her. Okay, so this is the person that she's going to in response. And now, after opening statement and some of the evidence, I expect the court to be a little more familiar with our theory of the case and how what was going on with the Danny defendant relationship, how it plays into what happened that night. In these messages, one, they make out a recent sexual relationship, and I'll just draw the court to a couple messages in particular, so you don't have to read them all. On page 9, so page 9 of the document, starting at line 123. This is an incoming message from Craig to the defendant on October 1. in which he says, "That was good as fuck. I'll take that anytime. Friday. No, I made you come for a long time." And she responds on line 124, "I would be down to do that again anytime." And then she sends another response at line 125. "And yes, you did for a good ass minute." All right, so that's thing number one. They clearly make out a sexual relationship. Thing number two is that there's some indications in here where that there is a connection to Danny. On page two of the document, line 13, at the top, the defendant sends a message to Craig. Well, starting at line 12, Craig sends a message to her saying, you okay today? Your man here? And she responds in the next line, "Yeah, I'm okay. He's on his BS today and I don't feel like arguing." So there's some of that in here that they're talking about Danny, and she's talking about him in kind of a frustrated tone. So we do think that these messages and the fact of this relationship are part and parcel of the Danny defendant status of the relationship kind of subject matter that has already been ruled admissible. They're sort of intertwined with that. And it's further intrinsic to that night because that's the guy who she was going to see and whose house she was at for 10 minutes. This is not just character assassination. It really does help tell the story, okay? The other thing, and this is similar to the argument that I made for some of the Stingrays stuff the other day on Thursday, is that they in the interview that comes next, they've seen these messages. And so they ask her, "Who's Craig?" And she says, "Oh, that's Red, same guy. That's a drug dealer. This guy I saw that night." And they ask her point blank, "Is there anything going on between the two of you? Is there a sexual relationship?" And she tells them no. Right, so she denies it. Again, even if she hadn't denied it, even if she had said, "Yeah," I think it's still admissible for the reasons that I've articulated to this point. But then the fact that she denies it makes it further relevant because she's charged with making numerous other false statements in the same interview. We have to prove that those statements were knowingly false. And part of that involves proving that that she was lying up and down about basically everything she talked about that day. So that's why we think this evidence ought to come in. I understand that there is some prejudicial effect to it. However, the test is not whether there's some prejudicial effect. The test is whether the probative value of the evidence is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. And I just think that's a very difficult thing to say. You know, the rules are supposed to be rules of inclusion. Exclusion based on 403 grounds is characterized in the case law as an extraordinary remedy. And given that he was the guy that she went and saw that night after this fight, and part of our case is saying that she was in this fraught emotional state, I just don't see how the court can say the probative value of this evidence is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. I mean, these are the facts of the case. These are the facts of that night. So that's our position on this evidence, Your Honor.
You think it should be Mr. Hilliard?
Your Honor, 24403 states specifically, relevant evidence may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice, confusion of the issues, misleading the jury, or by considerations of undue delay, waste of time, or needless presentation of cumulative evidence. Whether or not she had this affair, or whether or not she was having sex with this person named Craig, bears no relevance to any of the issues in the case. I understand Mr. Dean wants it to be, but his argument that he just made was, well, she's charged with other false statements in the indictment, so the fact that she made false statements about having an affair means that she might make these other, that's propensity to commit a crime. Okay? It's exactly one of the reasons to exclude prejudicial evidence. So I understand why Mr. Dean wants it. I understand why he's asking for it. But
Go ahead.
that's the main reason to exclude it, not include it. So that's why we're making the motion in limine, Judge, and we leave it with the court.
All right, I'm going to take a moment to consider what you both just presented. So let's take about a 15-minute break. We're in recess.
I think it's so sad that this woman had to basically kill her child and then dump it in the landfill. It's day 3. Swamp, you want to come up and we can do a breakdown?
And let the record reflect that Ms. Simon has joined both of her attorneys at counsel's table. The attorneys for the state are present as well. We've taken a break
Doodlebug.
on the defense motion in limine with regards to text messages that the state intends to present and admit into evidence. I've heard and considered the arguments for both. At this time, the court does find that the unredacted version of the text messages is inadmissible. I went through and read all of the text messages. The sexual and salacious nature of some of the text messages in the exhibit are not relevant to the charged conduct. Now, after applying the balancing test, 403 balancing test, court finds that the probative value is that the prejudicial matters outweigh at this time the probative value. So they're not going to come in at this time. Now, if things change, the court will consider it, but at this time, that's court ruling. Madam Clerk, I'm going to pass down State's Exhibit 83.
So just to be clear, is it just the exhibit or is it any testimony about from Detective Lemons about what they saw in the phone and what seemed to be going on with the defendant and Craig and asking her about it and her answering? Is it just that the specific language in the messages is a 403 problem, or is it the subject matter in general?
The language is a 403 problem. Mr. Hilliard, do you object to the detectives just testifying about the information with the defendant and Craig/Red?
Well, my motion had to do with the prejudicial effect of, my motion had to do with the prejudicial effect of this affair, Judge. It has to do with the sexual nature of it, which has nothing to do with the charged conduct, the reason we're here, or anything to do with the indictment itself. So my motion had to do with any reference to the affair, the language, or anything like that. So I don't know how you can parse it out. I mean, we know that she went and met Red, but I don't think that there's any reason to get into the sexual nature of these text messages, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And actually, I know how I see it in terms of parsing it out. The text messages don't come in, or at least the unredacted text messages do not come in as they stand right now. The fact that she met with Red has already been some of the testimony and some of the evidence. I do find her meeting with Red is intrinsic. How far should the court go? How far should the evidence go in the sexual relationship? You know, at this point, I'm going to find that the sexual relationship with Red is inadmissible at this time as well.
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay.
I just wanted to be clear that it was, and the only reason I ask is the court initially referenced the unredacted text messages, which suggested to me that perhaps there was, in the court's view, some way of sanitizing it or sort of softening the evidence that would make it admissible. But I understand the court's ruling. Of course, we accept it and we're ready to move on.
All right. I thank you for your clarifying question.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
think I
Hilliard.
understand it as well.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that we need to take up before we bring the jury out?
No, Your Honor.
And I take it that we're going to pick up with Detective Lemons.
Yes.
Okay. And let's bring in the jury, please.
Jury is not entered. That's everyone, Judge.
Thank you. All right. You may all have a seat. Thank you. And the question is, have you been able to comply with the court's instructions? Have you discussed the case with anyone? No research done? All right, thank you very much. We will now resume. Mr. Dean, you may call your witness.
Marion Lemons. I think when we left off, we had just finished the interview that ended right about 10:30 at night on October 5th. Is that right?
Yes.
Later that night, did you and Special Agent Snyder interviewed the defendant one last time?
We did.
Again, in the interview room?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would publish from State's Exhibit 3, a file bearing the file name Interview Room 2355 to 0038.
Give me 1 second, Judge. I just want to make sure. No, Mr. did not discuss it, Judge. There'll be a little bit edited at the end, but other than that, no objection.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard. Mr. Dean, you may proceed.
I may proceed. We'll see whether I can.
All right.
Come back to you.
Hello.
Like we've come in here several times and told you.
It's like I've been opening up everything that I could, and whatever I didn't clarify or say right, whatever I'm clarifying, I would never be the reason when something happened to my baby. You gotta understand that. I was so serious.
Well, they always say this. Just relax. Just relax.
It's hard to realize it's not only him that lost my son this morning when I woke up, he's not there. But by the end of the night, I'm sitting there being told that everything looks like it's my fault. It's my fault because I put my son to bed last night and woke up to him being gone. That's my fault.
Tell us what happened. There's so many inconsistencies in your story.
How? I've even sat there and got on like 360 for how clean up anything that I could to show that this is what happened. This is where I went. This is what I did. Here's the proof that this is where I went.
Okay, now what this is, Kiki, this woman murdered her child, and they found the child in the landfill.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I had another one of your screens playing. I'm sorry.
But yeah, this woman murdered her child, and they found the child in the landfill. This is day 3 of the trial. I was gonna stream day 1, but yeah, I just went ahead and saw it was live, so I started streaming day 3, and that's the woman right there in the interrogation.
Robert, I heard you say something before I came up. I heard you say she felt like she had to unalive her child. Did I hear you correctly when you were talking?
That wasn't me that said it. That was one of the attorneys that said it.
Oh.
I think it was wrong for her to do that. I mean, because it was just a toddler, Kiki, and I don't know if she's pleading temporary insanity, but that's her right there in the interrogation.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, is I was wondering what they were saying for a defense of what happened, but I'll just listen, and I'm sorry, I don't want to hijack your panel.
Swirefly said, we don't exactly know how he died, but she definitely drove him to the dumpster.
Oh my God. This is all right. Well,
And Swirefly says during her interrogation yesterday, she said she checked on him at one point and he was knocked out. So I'm wondering if that was if that was a sort of embedded confession.
Mm-hmm. Like a Freudian slip. Mm-hmm.
Every time someone burns, you can ask Kenny, you can ask everybody that them babies were all in that room. Every single one was in that room. When I went to bed, every single one was in that room. And yes, they were perfectly fine. Yes, they were breathing. Yes, he moved when I touched him. Yes, they were all in there. And they were perfectly okay. Okay? And then I got up, it was done. You were talking about a mother's worst nightmare? A mother's worst nightmare is not knowing dang well at all if her child is even okay or not. A mother's worst nightmare is not knowing if you were ever going to even know what actually happened to your baby. It's not sitting there wondering if he's going to get a proper funeral. It's wondering if he's ever going to get one at all. It's wondering if you're ever going to know what happened to him.
Let's just say he's not going to until you let us know the accident that happened.
There's nothing that happened. And I'm gonna say that there's no accident. There's no inconsistency. What? Because I forgot to say something about my hand back up front, and then I came out clear about it. Told you about it.
Take a Percocet.
No, I did not. I did not take a Percocet right now. I'm gonna go piss in the cup for you right now.
What did you do?
Right now.
Alleviate the pain last night?
I didn't think it was the Orajel. There's even Orajel in that freaking bathroom thing. There's one that's empty, which is the one that I ran out of when I called and asked to see if I had more. To see if they had more. No. So I got the one from her. Now there's one in there that's empty and there's one that's not. You have to see that in that bathroom. It's in the mirror.
Do
Okay.
you recall exactly when you left and where you met?
Yes.
Misty.
Misty.
Okay.
Exactly where I met her at. Right there. Like where those mailboxes and stuff you got. Remember?
What's Misty's last name?
I can't recall. I worked with her over before Sky was born. Before Sky was born.
We got to talk to Misty right now. How do you get hold of her?
My phone is, I have her number in there. That's what I called her. I downloaded text now and tried to call that, and I called it and got through to her. So I asked her, I just straight up said, "You still have this mouth problems you got going on?" She said, "Big old thing right here. I can give you where she works at.
Where does she
I
work?
can at least give you that. She works at Bojangles.
Bojangles.
Bojangles on 17.
On Akichi.
On Nikiji and 17. I can give you that. I don't know her
Is
last
she
name.
a white lady or black lady?
White lady. White lady? 4'11" maybe. 4'12.
How old is she?
40s.
Mhm.
Late 30s, early 40s.
What kind of car does she drive?
She walks, which is why I had to come all the way to her.
What shift does she work at Bojangles?
I can't tell you that no more. They were not even open up for dinner when I was there and when I was working there, and they are now. So I can't tell you what shift she's working.
What kind of car was she driving when you met her at Origin?
She lives over there by Chevron or whatever. So she walked up and met me at the front of her neighborhood and gave it to me.
What other cars were there when you met her? Was it any?
There was a tan older car, almost like a cop car Ford something, or whatever. Tan sitting in her driveway.
In her driveway or the driveway or at the Chevron?
No, like when I pulled up, I could see like where she lived at. You could see her walk out of her driveway and walk up, and I'm pretty sure that was in her driveway of the tan car. So, but I've never seen her drive a car at all. Ever. She's always walked to work and walked home, to the point that I was giving her rides because it was too hot at one point to do that. So
And when did the cereal spill in the back of the car?
that's been there. I won't lie. Even like over a month, my friend gave me a big old bag of a whole bunch of baby cereal that she didn't have anything to do with. I put it in the car.
What type of baby cereal? Like
First.
that you put like it's almost like a rice consistency?
It's rice or oatmeal is what it is. And
What
it
type
was
of
like
container was it in?
the actual container itself that comes in from the store.
What does that look like?
It's blue and it's about this big and comes up like this. And there's a screw on top that pops open. Oh, whatever.
And what happened? How did it come?
Two of them that she gave me, she had just opened and she tried it with her baby, her 9-month-old baby, and it didn't work very well with him. So she gave me those and a whole bunch of the other ones that she bought. When I put it back in the car, got home, took it out, the bag ripped, it fell, it spilled. Got another bag, collected up what I could, and took it inside. I still have all that baby cereal from that day except for that one.
And just describe to me again when you came home at 10:50.
That was from leaving red.
I was leaving that, and that's when you went and you rubbed Quinn's hair.
I moved the hair out of his face and did this right here, and when I did, he said, and curled up. Exactly like that. Like, it was like, touching me and curled up.
And then when you left again, when you left to go meet Missy,
He was like, well,
did you go by and check on Quentin as you walked out the door?
yes. Yeah, and he was fine. He was still in the same position he was in when I moved his hair.
And what door did you walk out?
The back door.
The back door? At what time?
I can't remember exactly what time I walked out. I left the house like 1:13, so I probably walked out about 1:12, 1:11, and got in the car. And I went out the back door because that's where we park all the cars at. That's where we park them all at. So we always only use that back door. That front door is only ever used to sit outside to smoke or let the kids play in the front yard.
Have you ever left your house without your phone before?
Without my phone? No, I always have my phone on me.
Everywhere you go.
Everywhere I go, work, home, even if it's dead, I have it on me. Always. You know, I fail to charge it all the time. But I normally,
At any point last night, did your phone go dead and you didn't have a charge?
my phone was on at all times last night. It was even plugged in next to the bed when I did lay down. When I did get in the cars, the phone's out 2 or 3 or 4%, so I did plug it in. If it wasn't plugged in, it would have died, and my trips both times would have ended, you know, before I even got home. Y'all would have seen the time that I arrived home if it didn't stay on.
She seems really nervous because she's bouncing her leg a lot. You're muted.
I was trying to figure that out, Robert, because he mentioned something about like, are you high right now? And now it looks like she's crashing. So it's either that, or I was also thinking like, she might have like one of those personalities where it looks like she thought that if she talked a certain way to them, she could make them listen or do what she wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the way she was talking to those cops, like yelling at them, like at any minute, they're going to follow what she says. And she has this rude awakening that actually, no, she's not surrounded by people she can manipulate with her loud voice and aggressive personality anymore. If anyone agrees with me, I'd love to know in the chat. What do you think, Robert?
Yeah. She, I mean, like you said, she comes off as very manipulative,
Mm-hmm.
and she more than likely can get away with that loud voice being a manipulative voice. And when she realizes she's not getting her way in this interrogation, she quickly changes to that voice she's using now.
That 100% sounds like manipulative. And now that you're saying it, you're right. I could not be looking at someone crashing. I might be looking at somebody changing their tactics, like you just said. That makes sense, Robert. Hey, Christy.
Do you normally meet Red out there at the Flacco's Tacos area?
In that general area, normally it's ride share that we got ride share across, but they have a lot of people there, and there was road work going to.
Where or who like coordinates with Red?
What?
You or Danny? Like who talks to Red?
Honestly, it's got multiple different numbers, so like we message or we call one, or I'll get in contact with like his cousin. His name's Craig or whatever, and ask. It's never like he never has the same.
You said Craig?
Yeah, I got in contact with Craig and I'll ask him, but that's just because they live at the same property.
Where do they live at?
For our straight lane is right after that ride share. It's like one of the first driveways after the ride share on the left hand side. One of the very first driveways.
Is it just Red and Craig there?
Yeah. And some other lady that lives in the back, but that's none of my business. That's the whole of the property.
Okay.
So,
Is it just you that kind of deals with them, or does Danny too?
and we both did.
Both do.
We both did. So whoever decides to go, if we do decide to go.
deal the same thing?
I will do that same thing. They don't even do nothing more than that. That's just what they do. They get old pills and get old weed.
How long a time, like, minutes, seconds did you interact with Mitzi?
Missy, she walked up. I said, "Hey girl, how you doing?" She said, "I'm good." She was like, "How's your mouth?" I said, "Good, good." Listen, she was taking her out, but it's hurting like hell. And she was like, "Here you go." So that was literally like probably a 2-minute conversation, and then she went home and I got in the car.
Did the ordeal give you any relief?
Enough relief to lay down long enough to fall asleep. When I woke up, my mouth was still hurting like hell, but it stayed down back here. The way that I did it with a cotton ball and putting the Orajel on it. And then
Robert, what's wrong with her?
stayed down long enough for me to
You found that the process helped with that?
What's wrong with her?
I do not know. What do you mean?
She's like, my jaw's hurt. I've got to put cotton balls in there and stuff. Is she like got her wisdom teeth out? Like, or because like,
Well, she said that her teeth had been hurting, and she went to see a friend of hers and got some Orajel from a friend, and she told the detective that he can check her medicine cabinet behind the mirror. She has one empty bottle of Orajel and a full bottle of Orajel in her medicine cabinet.
why would you talk about that's so weird. You can see like what, I don't know. You can notice the nervous behavior by the different conversations that they're having, maybe.
Yeah, Firefly just said she had recently gotten her wisdom teeth out. She keeps talking about how she went in the middle of the night to get Orajel, which is her story for why she had the car out at 1 a.m.
That makes so much more sense. Thank you for explaining that to me, because that totally explains why she keeps repeating that or emphasizing it. She's building an alibi. She's building a story. Thank you.
That's
I didn't take no Percocets back. No, I haven't taken Percocets in a long time, and I'm not taking any of them. If I can get them from somebody, just get them for somebody. So, all I did was cotton ball, Orajel was on the middle of it, oil it up, put it in my mouth, bit on it. When I bit on it, my saliva going.
Firefly just said, I don't know if she knows it at this point of the interrogation, but they have her own video pulling up to the dumpster in the middle of the night.
Oh, so she doesn't even know the evidence against her yet?
Yeah, she don't even know that they have she don't even know that they have her own video of her pulling up to the dumpster in the middle of the night.
So she's self-snitching right now. Great.
And
what else is she
on
to do?
video.
Good Lord. Like, I mean, I know what she was just saying, how she checked all the kids to make sure they were safe before they went to bed. Is she saying that she woke up and the baby was gone? Like, what's the...
Yeah, she's trying to lay it out as somebody had taken him in the middle of the night. But they have,
so she's not even admitting that she did it.
Yeah, they have her on video though, dumping his body in the dumpster.
Oh, poor baby.
And she don't know that they have the video.
What was the cause of death?
Yeah, Firefly says she's saying she woke up in the morning, the front door was open, and Quentin was gone.
Oh, Quentin. Well, I guess, I mean, I mean, if we're like getting to the point and you haven't got there yet, have we told everybody how the toddler actually died? Have they?
Firefly said it earlier. Let me find it.
Oh, Swirefly says it in her latest comment. Unfortunately, we do not know the cause of death because he wasn't found until 7 weeks after his remains were finally done. I mean, like, the point I was getting at is she's like sitting there in the interrogation room saying how she was so careful to make sure every baby was asleep when she went to bed. And it's like she's emphasizing what a good parent she is.
Yeah.
And then it's just like so
Another sign of narcissism.
beyond words. How many children does she have?
3.
Hmm.
Made the orangeo come out and stay in this general area, which allowed my mouth to get numb enough to let him. You'll see.
All right, I've stopped the playback at 13 minutes and 47 seconds after midnight on October 6th of 2022.
Wait, you're correct. She keeps saying over and again how she checked on the children. She checked on the and I just started watching it and I picked up on it. Swire.
Now,
You
you mentioned that you did go through the defendant.
He was knocked out instead of he was passed out. I see what you're saying.
Manually, you talked about just thumbing.
Self-snitching.
Yes.
Did you look at the Cellbrite extraction that day, or was it just manual review?
For me, it was just manual.
Did you look in her text messages with Danny Youngkin?
Yes.
And in those text messages, did you see anything that was notable to you in terms of unsent messages?
I did.
Can you tell us about that?
There was a drafted message at the bottom that said getting Oragel
When
or
you
headed to get Oragel.
Headed getting Oragel or headed to get Oragel?
Yes, sir.
Pardon me for interrupting. When you say a drafted text message at the bottom, can you just walk us through? I mean, I think everybody probably has cell phone.
Sure.
Can you walk us through very as clearly as you can what you mean?
Yeah, when you go to text somebody on your phone, you hit the little bubble at the bottom, type what you need to, but you have to send before it actually goes to that person. This was just the draft before she sent it to Daniel.
Just in the box where you type, but you did not hit send yet.
Yes.
Send yet. Okay. On this day, was the defendant kept in the room the entire time?
No.
Was she allowed to go out and smoke?
Yes,
Did that happen multiple times?
it did.
And in fact, on one occasion, did she just show herself out to smoke and walk out?
Yes,
Was she provided with food
several times.
and water?
Yes.
Now, at what point in the day, I guess it's now we're on the morning of the 6th, right?
Yes.
At what point did y'all decide it was time to wrap up and get some sleep?
Well, we had finished at her residence, and shortly after this interview, we arranged transport for the whole family to return to the residence.
Okay, so did the 3 who were there in the police station that day go back to the house?
They did.
And did you stay there working, or did you go home and get some sleep, or what?
I stayed there for a little while and went home for a little while.
Now, I want to talk to you about the following days. Was there an effort made to follow up on the Misty Oragel story?
Yes.
And who was responsible for following up on the Misty aspect of that story?
Yes. For Misty, it was Special Agent Snyder.
And when did that happen? I mean, he'll testify that, but when did it happen?
The following day.
Was there an effort to follow up on Danny's whereabouts on the morning of October 5th?
Yes.
And who was tasked with following up on that?
That was Detective Noble and Special Agent Solomon.
Okay. And was there some follow-up on Paul and when he had gotten home and so forth?
Yes.
And who was responsible for that?
Detective Noble and Agent Solomon.
Did they go out to the warehouse and get timesheets and some video?
Yes, the warehouse where everyone worked.
And there was some mention in these interviews of Henry Bubba Moss Jr.
Correct.
And we heard yesterday from 2 FBI agents that were involved in that follow-up
Yes.
From the Augusta FBI office.
Yes.
Now, at some point, did somebody obtain Henry Bubba Moss Jr.'s phone records?
Yes.
And who was that?
I believe we got the phone number from Special Agent Osden, and then we obtained the phone records afterwards.
And was that Detective Wilkins who got Henry Moss's phone records
I believe so, yes.
and relayed them to you?
Yes.
Now, was there follow-up on the vehicle, the Dodge Journey?
There was.
And what did that involve?
A search warrant was applied for and executed on the vehicle where we examined the inside, the outside, and then we also did what's called an infotainment search warrant.
And what is an infotainment?
So the electrical box that's in your vehicle, that stores data. So what we do, it's called an infotainment search, and we're just seeing what kind of data is stored in that electrical system.
And what kind of data can you get from those from some vehicles?
From some vehicles, you can get as meticulous as every time a door opened or a light turned on. Others, we don't get anything.
And you as the investigative team tried to do that in this case?
We did.
Was that effort successful?
It was not.
Why not?
That make and model did not have the data in that system.
Okay. But you tried.
We did.
Now, one thing on the vehicle I'd like to ask you about. We heard some testimony from Officer Schenker at cross-examination about a potential spot of blood on the driver's seat.
Yes.
And we also heard him testify that he provided all of his pictures that he took that day to you.
Yes, everyone was in constant contact with each other.
I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 84. And how many pages is that?
It is 2 pages and 4 photographs.
2 pages and 4 photographs? That's front and back.
They are.
So was that crime scene photos that he was showing her? It looked like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a couple of questions though, like at where we're at right now. So
Okay.
Was the mother kept in custody after that interview, or was she let go? Would be the first one. And the second one is if they didn't follow up with Misty until the following day, did they have a chance to get the Oragel story straight before the cops showed up? You know,
Very-
I'm just wondering.
Very good question. I mean, just like that lady had stated that she was more than likely allowed to go home.
That's what I'm thinking too. Even though she shouldn't be probably watching her kids in that state, but I mean, you can't really do anything.
Yeah.
So they
Because-
didn't charge her right away. That's interesting. Well, yeah, because they didn't find the baby. That's right.
Yeah,
Oh.
they didn't find him for 7 weeks.
Oh my gosh, it's like, oh, it's so brutally awful. Poor baby.
But yeah, because I mean, you heard that a police officer say that they gave rides home to the people that came to the police station. So was she okay? Firefly just said, I don't know the answer to that question, but one interesting fact is that Alani herself is not the children's children. Her mother has custody of other children, but she was gone for months at a time for her job. And she said, sorry, the grandmother had custody of the children, not Leilani. So not the one that's on trial right now. she didn't have custody of him. The grandmother did.
It sounds like though she was, if they were asking her like where you went and everything, well, okay, I see what they're saying. They're trying to figure out who left the house when the baby went missing. But like, I was just thinking they were trying. Okay, that makes sense. So she wasn't responsible for the kid at the time. So it doesn't really warrant them questioning that person, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, just like the police officer just stated that that she had that Oragel text to her boyfriend, but it wasn't sent. It was in her drafts.
It's, I mean, I don't know. What do you think about that? I mean, I occasionally do that. I occasionally do that to Christy. Like I'm supposed to send a text message and I don't.
Firefly says, but she and her fiance were the ones present at the home when he went missing.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So her and her fiance was present at the home when the little boy went missing. Firefly says it's a train wreck of a case.
No, were they suspect before they found the body?
Well, yeah. Well, she would have had to been, because when we were watching the interrogation, even Firefly said that that part of the interrogation, she didn't know that the cops had the video of her dumping the body driving up to the dumpster.
Wait, during that interrogation? But
Yeah.
So how long did they have that photo? So they were looking for the body, is what it took 7 weeks to find it, but they
During
knew.
her interrogation yesterday, she said she checked on him at one point and he was knocked out. So I'm wondering if that was some sort of an embodied confession. And then it's down here to find it. Okay.
I cannot. So if I can't see myself on camera right now, I don't know like what's. I hope everything's okay. I'm just letting the audience know.
Yeah, I don't know if she knows it at this point of the interrogation, but they have her on video pulling up to a dumpster in the middle of the night. So when they were interrogating her, they had the proof that she was driving up to the dumpster in the middle of the night.
So they just had to look for that baby for stuff. That's awful.
Yeah. Firefly says during the interrogations, Leilani keeps pointing to her fiance to try and get the spotlight off of her.
Now, is he being charged as well right now?
Firefly, is he being charged as well? No, he's not.
2 pages front of that.
Absolutely tragic case.
It's on page 1. It's the same picture on the front of the back.
Oh, yes.
Same for page 2.
Yes,
You recognize those images?
I do.
What are they?
It is the front seat of the Dodge Journey, one with plain light and the second with the alternative light.
Is that the blue star that Officer Schenker was talking about?
Yes,
Where you can see the spots lighting up a little bit.
correct.
And is the first picture, can you see the little spots in there as well?
That may be the spots right in the center, but it's not like an apparent red or anything like that.
Your Honor, I would introduce this as Stacy 84.
No objection.
What is 84? Is it this?
And I'll publish this in the On the screen here, are we seeing the first picture in that exhibit?
Yes.
I'm gonna zoom in here. What do you see there?
3 small dots.
Do they appear on their face to be blood to you?
No, they don't.
Can you tell whether they're fresh or old?
No, it's not. It doesn't look like fresh blood.
Moving to the next image. What are we looking at here?
It is those same 3 dots under the blue star.
Now,
They look like
you were
fingerprints.
aware of this
to me.
during the investigation?
Do you think
I
so?
was.
Did you view it as significant?
No.
Is
I don't
in the
know.
investigation,
Yeah, I don't know
every
exactly
item that you collect,
what it
every
is.
observation that you-
I mean, it could be fingerprints, it could be blood, it could be something we don't know.
It does not.
Can you explain what you mean?
Especially in this type of investigation, but really any, you start as broad as possible, collect as much as possible, and look at every single thing you can. And then you start to realize what's important, what's not. And this is one of those that we did not deem important in our investigation.
Let me ask you a question, sort of for example, about electronic devices. How many phones are we going to be talking about in this case?
Of significance, 3.
Okay. How many electronics did y'all seize from the house in the course of the search warrant there?
Probably over 15.
Old computers, old phones? things
Thumb
like that?
drives, CDs.
And we have about 37 people on our witness list.
Yes,
How many people were interviewed in the course of this investigation?
well over 100.
And I think we introduced 100 some images that Officer Schenker took at the residence on
Yes.
September 5th. And how many did he take total?
I believe it was almost 400.
Were some of them in the RV under the carport?
Yeah,
Any reason to think the RV has any relevance to the investigation?
no,
Were some of them in Billy Joe Howell and Thomas Howell's master bedroom?
yes,
Any reason to think that that room has any relevance to the investigation?
no.
How long do you think it would take to try this case if we were to call every person that you all interviewed and introduce into evidence every picture and item that you all collected at the broad stage of the investigation early on?
Including the canvas that Special Agent Austin provided, months.
Thank you. Now, one more question in reference to the driver's seat and the spot. I have to ask you this. On October 5th, at
I just told AR we were live. So
you
it was,
interacted with the defendant a lot.
Yes,
Was she menstruating that day?
she mentioned that she was, yes.
And did she have to go to the bathroom a couple of times to apply feminine hygiene products?
Yes,
Thank you. Was there a follow-up with these 3 cell phones that you all had taken that day?
specifically Leilani's.
Can you tell me about that?
So at Chatham County Police Department, our system's called Celebrate that does the forensic extraction we talked about. Savannah Police Department, though, has a system that can do a deeper dive into the phone. It's called Reiki.
And what happened in reference to the defendant's phone?
Yep. Detective Cox reached out to Savannah Police, and they did a gray key extraction of her cell phone.
And did that have something to do with the fact that it was an iPhone?
I believe so. iPhones like to be difficult.
Now, was there a follow-up done in reference to the Chevron/Azalea issue?
There was, yes.
Can you tell us, generally speaking?
She's sitting there and she looks like she has no
We went out
remorse.
and
She looks like she has what?
footage in that area, the Chevron gas station as well as Azalea Mobile Home Park. both
What'd you
had-
say?
She's sitting there and she's sitting there and she looks like she has no remorse. The defendant.
Feels that way for sure.
I was.
And what day was that?
That was on the 6th, the following day.
Okay. So you were involved in the video canvas in that area.
Correct.
Were you there when they collected the footage that day?
I was not.
And was there follow-up in reference to the dumpsters and garbage trucks and ultimately the landfill?
Yes.
And who was the point person for that?
That would be Detective Noble.
Now, we heard some testimony yesterday from Special Agent Austin about the involvement of the CARD team. Can you remind us what that acronym stands for?
Yes. It's the Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team, and we asked him to come down and assist.
Now, were you the lead detective for the Chatham County Police Department at this point?
Yes.
And who was the lead for the FBI?
Agent Brad Snyder.
Did the two of you work directly with the CARD team?
We did.
And can you tell us about what that involved?
We wanted as much information and as many resources as the CARD team could give us. One of those things was a template for a canvas that our team did.
And what did the canvas operation look like? Where did y'all do those things?
So canvassing, easily broken down, was just knocking on every single person's door. We did Buckhalter Road, Gerard Avenue, into Azalea, as well as I-95 and Highway 204 area.
And what was the manpower requirement involved in this thing, this canvas operation?
We broke out into 3 teams, those 3 separate locations. Each team probably had roughly 30 law enforcement officers.
And how many teams now?
3,
3 teams.
so around 90.
Okay. And how many days did this canvas operation take?
I believe it took 2 days.
And did each encounter involve filling out a questionnaire?
It did.
Was your questionnaire Special Agent Austin talked about?
Yes.
And did they help tailor those in this case?
Yes, he did.
I'd like to approach with an object that I do not intend to introduce for the evidence, but I would like to just talk about it a little bit. And just to make the record clear on what this is, what is this here? What are we looking at?
This is binder 4 of my case file. It is the template canvas sheets that were filled out.
What size binder is that?
It is a 5-inch binder.
And roughly how many pages of interview form canvas questionnaires are in there?
700.
Did you guys also set up a tip line?
We did.
What is a tip line?
So we just used a extra cell phone, and we put up a voicemail advising people to call this number, or excuse me, we put about a notice
You knew it, Robert.
advising people to call this number if they had any information on Quentin Simon's
I'm
disappearance.
back.
I
And then
know.
a voicemail was set up asking whoever was calling to give us as much information, and we would call back if it was something to follow up on.
Was that something that was done on the advice of the CARD team
Yes,
as part of the best practices in investigating a child disappearance?
Yes.
Possible abduction?
yes.
Tell me about the manpower involved in responding to tip line calls.
One of the detectives at all times was assigned to the phone and to follow up on each one of the voicemails that was left, to review them to see whether or not they needed additional follow-up.
Does the Chatham County Police Department have a dive team?
We do, yes.
Was the dive team involved in on October 5th, 2022, or the days following?
Yes.
What is the dive team?
You know what's kind of chilling? October 5th, 2022. What happened a month later?
So it's
You're muted, Kiki.
I said it was a dark time. What state did this happen in?
Georgia.
Okay.
Got metalheads here. Hey, Scott.
Nice. Yeah. Hey, Scott. Nice to see you.
But yeah, I don't understand why cases like this, in cases like the Idaho case, all have some correlation to 2022. But and just like because if you think about it, 1122, which was the address of the King Roadhouse. If you think about it, November 2022, so 11/20/22 or 11/22, the address of the house. 11/22, the month and the year of the atrocities, and then you have this case that happened in October of 2022. You're muted.
The numbers always get me every time. And I mean, like, if we do, like, depending on the suspects too, it's really interesting when you look at their numerology too. I don't want to say too much because, it could go either way. When the time comes, if with the crime that we're both covering now with Brian Koberger, depending on if he's accused or not accused, I'll look at the numbers a different way. But there does seem to be like these odd coincidences with the numbers when you're going through things. And it makes you wonder if it's not necessarily just a coincidence, if it meant something. Preordained, or it meant something to somebody, not necessarily, whoever did this, did it mean something to somebody? Yeah. But then again, you look at a case like this and it's completely ironic with no like premeditation where the numbers would be involved. So I don't know.
Firefly says the numerology in the Idaho case is crazy.
Oh, thank you for validating. I appreciate that.
I think it's in connection with Marine Patrol.
You go ahead, Kiki.
Well, no, I was going to say, like, not just the numerology. Like, I'm not a huge person. I love numbers, but I'm not necessarily into numerology. But astrology, like, it's just odd how these things line up. And we were also talking about on my channel, like, these vortexes. So, like, there are places in the world where good or bad things just seem to congregate. And it's just so odd that, like, this dark cloud in our culture is, like, ascending on this small courthouse in Boise. And then we just had 2 other major, like, worldwide exposure, awful murder trials in the same exact courthouse. It's just interesting how these negative things can ascend in certain places. So
yeah,
I send them.
Yeah. And see what's weird is I have a friend. She lives up in Sweden, and she lives up in the northern part near the Arctic Circle.
Okay.
And we were talking about it the other night, and she lives about she lives about what'd she say, about 100 miles from Stockholm, Sweden. And because I asked her, I'm like, so I'm in Europe and Sweden. So, what do you think about the super collider that they have up in Sweden by CERN? And she goes, oh, no. She goes, I live 100 miles away from that. She goes, I live up in the northern part. She goes, Stockholm can keep its secrets.
Yeah.
And,
the proton accelerator. Is that what you were just talking about?
Yes. They call it the super collider.
Yeah, that freaking, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be amazing to go visit? I've seen tours.
Not really, because I don't want to get sucked into a vortex or a portal that they freaking open up with that thing.
Oh, you just got a new subscriber.
Scuba divers.
Yep, Scott.
Have the
Scott
proper
Middlehead.
qualifications and
Thank you,
search and
Scott.
rescue.
And did the dive team do anything in this investigation?
Yes, they did.
Can you tell us about those things?
Yes, behind the residence is a in-ground pool that had a layer of algae on it, and standing above it, you weren't able to see inside. So the dive team went in and made sure there was nothing inside the pool. As well as during our canvas, there's several ponds in the area, and they made sure to look through those as well.
I think you've already said that you did receive the defendant's Cellbrite extraction from Sergeant Coleman of the forensics unit.
Yes,
And did you review the extraction of her phone?
yes.
And did you find any evidence in her phone revealing anything about the state of her relationship with Danny Youngkin in the days, weeks, months leading up to October 4th?
Yes.
Can you describe that to us in broad terms, please?
Through their text messages, it was pretty apparent what kind of relationship they had.
Anything other than text messages?
There was some concerning web searches as well.
Any
I wonder what
videos?
they mean.
Yes.
Can you tell us about
Yeah, same here. Concerning web searches.
I think they're gonna tell us right now.
that?
There was a clip that was recorded on August 6th of 2022 where Leilani was blaming Daniel basically for the suicide that she was about to go commit.
Now, have we prepared a couple of exhibits capturing the things that you just described? Do you see in front of you an exhibit marked as States 18?
I do.
Can you tell us what this is?
It is a series of text messages between Leilani and Daniel.
And were those pulled from the Cellbrite extraction performed by Sergeant Coleman?
They are, yes.
Do you see a disc marked as States Exhibit 19?
I do.
What is that?
I believe it is the suicide video.
What?
That you just described.
Yes.
Oh,
Do you see
God.
in front of you a document marked?
Yeah, she videotaped herself trying to commit suicide.
Hey, Robert, just so you know, while I have this paused, I'm probably gonna just casually slide out of here in the next couple minutes because I gotta go start cooking dinner. But
Okay.
I'm
I am going live tomorrow night. If you'd like to join me, it's just gonna be like a true crime chat, discussing like all the cases going on right now.
all right. Well, I'd love to, and I was planning on it. Just because I have some updates. I'm gonna do a members only live tomorrow morning, but I'm not gonna go public for a little while. I had a run-in with another troll, and I'm just don't want to go.
Oh, I
public.
had one of those last night.
Oh, you did? I hope you're okay.
Yeah, I did a premiere last night, and I got this message in my comments, which I reported and deleted, threatening to take my channel down.
For what? For what?
It's the Heather calls them the YouTube 7.
Oh, don't. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay.
So I got threatened with my channel being taken down because I'm not going along with their narrative.
And I am a total ditz because I know exactly what you're talking about now. And for some reason, I was thinking.
So
I
reported
it. Up the taping today.
I reported the comment and it was deleted.
Have you heard anything yet?
Not yet.
Well, you would know already, so you're okay. I think you're good.
Yep.
And you recorded everything. Nobody wants a back and forth,
Yep.
Hopefully you're good.
Oh, and I was a guest on Post Woke the other night.
Oh, that's what I thought you were talking about.
No, I did. Yeah, I was a guest on Post Woke, and then I did a video, a premiere last night on my channel, and in the comment section, that's where the little threat came from. In the comment section of my premiere last night.
Robert, why are you starting shit with people? I'm just kidding.
I'm not.
I'm just joking with you.
I know.
Well, for the true crime talk tomorrow, I have some, maybe I'll bring some good, whatever you want to talk about, but I'll be prepared with a couple talking points in case you need me to share anything. I've been doing a little research too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still on the inhaler. My doctor told me yesterday I'll probably be on the inhaler for a while. So
I'm sorry. You're going to have long haul or whatever it's called.
well, long-term effects. Yeah.
You should try that pulmonary rehab for it. Really help. I'm sorry you're going through that, Robert. Does anyone in your family have side effects from it right now too?
No, luckily I was able to, even though my wife hated it, I self-quarantined myself in the attic.
What?
while
That's
I
probably
had it. Well, see, our attic is like big enough to be its own separate bedroom, and it's got hardwood floors up there, and so our house is a 2-bedroom, but is a low-key 3-bedroom. So I moved up to the attic while I was going through the shit.
Well, I think that's very noble of you. And did anyone else get COVID?
Nope.
No.
Thank God, nope.
I'm trying to find, I just pulled up YouTube. I'm trying to find your live stream because I want to see how many people are. I cannot tell anything on my end of StreamYard. And you know what, Robert? I want to hear before I leave. I want to hear what she's about to say, really bad.
As States Exhibit 20.
I do.
And what is that?
It is a web search that was found on her cell phone.
You are allowed to introduce these items in as States 18, 19, and 20.
Oh, I can't.
With regard to 18, Judge, no objection. You said 19 or 20? No objection as to 19. No objection as to I think the photograph, and no objection as to number 20, which is.
Okay, so states exhibits 18, 19, and 20 are admitted without objection.
Your Honor, at this time, I'll publish States Exhibit 18. And may I have a seat?
Yes.
Thank you. We have on the screen here slide 1 of States Exhibit 18. And what I'd like to do with this exhibit is just have you tell us the date of the message and read the message, okay?
So this was sent on 7/12/22. It says, I want to feel beautiful, not barely average. I want to feel loved, not just liked. I want to feel wanted, not just tolerated. I want to be able to look at you and know it's just me, not wondering how many others there are. I want to feel like my body is worth showing off, not like it's just been trashed from having 3 kids. I want to feel the way you made me feel in the beginning, like I'm treasured and safe, not like I'm just here because you really don't have a choice.
Slide 2.
Sent on 7/15/22. And I damn sure ain't the reason why you talk to other bitches in the first goddamn place or you put your dick in to begin with.
Slide 3.
on 8/6/22. Yeah, go get yourself some ass. I know mine is good enough. Never was, never will be.
Now, the video that's been introduced into evidence is States Exhibit 19. When was this video? Were you able to tell when the video was filmed?
Yes, we were
Okay. What was the date that video was filmed?
on August 6th.
At this time, I will publish States Exhibit 19.
To Sky, Zane, and Quinn. Mama tried. Your mama's not here no more because she doesn't want you. I do. I can't love myself.
I saw that. I was-
And I can't love myself now because I love y'all. I have tried over and over and over and I failed. I scream for help and I don't get it. Sky, you are such a beautiful little girl. I wish I could watch you grow up. I wish I could hold you for your first heartbreak because my mama didn't. Sky, I love you, baby girl. And Zane.
She seems bipolar to me.
You know, I think I can see that. There's like a couple other theories I have too. I think we could have been seeing, they mentioned Percocets. We could be seeing somebody on and off of opioid. We also could be looking at, like you said a moment ago, that just that general narcissistic personality where you think you've gotten away with screaming and talking really like loudly and in your face to people and having them listen. And you think it always works, but it's just worked on the vulnerable people you've surrounded yourself with. Like, you know what I'm saying? Manipulative, exactly.
You were so handsome, so sweet, so protective. You were gonna be such a good man one day.
And then, yeah, I was just gonna say, Firefly.
I hope you grow up and you
I
learn
know.
what loyalty is. And you learn how to treat a woman and how to love a woman.
Wait, can I say something? Like, I just want to say something about Swirefly's comment real quick. So Swirefly says, I feel bad for her, really. No excuse to what she did. She was suffering, I think. And I think that, like, now we all take that into account, and we need to, because I think for many, we look at with the prison reform we need, and we talk about it a lot, Robert. It's like, how did we get here? How did we get here where we toss somebody in a box and just don't, and I think it's because we didn't have that type of sympathy or empathy. Somebody would do something heinous and disgusting like this, and nobody would think about how did we get here, like Swirefly is saying. And then we end up just saying, okay, well, these are the bad guys, and we put them in the bad guy place, And so I agree with what you say. And I think that we need to start looking at people like that, because we wouldn't be in the predicament we're in with our prison system if we had not dehumanized all criminals. Yeah. Swirefly says, how many people calling out for help, mental health help, and they just don't get it, or they can't get it, and I know Scott was just talking about organized religion. And just so you guys know, like for like the younger generation, before mental health, the church basically took care of mental health for people. The church is a place where people can go get free mental health. And we basically squash our churches to the point where they don't even support our communities anymore. And I'm not saying it replaces, you know, professional mental health, but I'm saying that was a place where people could get free counseling, free mental health, and we kind of just like squash them out of our communities. So that, you know.
Yeah, it just seems like anymore. You know, we as a society have this mindset: if you're not normal, sweep it under the rug.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just it's just like this is the times we're living in. If you're struggling with mental health, and it's like the status quo now to have that swept under the rug.
I know,
which is why I think, you know, our society as a whole is suffering the way it is right now. Yeah, especially with these cases going on, is because the people are crying out for help, but they're not getting it because they're afraid to ask for it. They're afraid that their mental health help will get swept under the rug.
Well, I mean, Robert, what if somebody who doesn't have health insurance and who doesn't have disposable income needs mental health services? It's not as easy as, now you might say, oh, well, every state has some sort of program so you can have free mental health service. But in order for that person to do that, they have to get health insurance, you know, fill out the documents. Yes, it's free if you apply for their state funded health insurance. Like, you can't just go obtain free mental health. Like, you have to have money, and it's not accessible. So like, what do we do for that segment of society? And that's why I brought up the churches a moment ago, because like, what do we do? Support groups.
Yeah.
Even if they want it, they can't, you know, it's not obtainable for such a huge portion of our population.
You know, yeah, and I know that.
And like,
yeah, it just feels like, yeah, it feels like this our society as a whole is failing those people that need help.
Or like recognizing the red flags.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, like, I don't want to say like, I don't know what words were the school unalivers, okay? Like, they're beginning to now say, oh, this is the pattern. Like, it's obvious now what the pattern is, what they do on social media. And kids now red flag these things. Like, it's stuff like that. Like, we need to figure out what warning signs too that we can find in people. I don't think it applies to this situation. I don't know what's going on here. I think there's a, I think that just hearing that Percocets were involved, this is probably a drug fueled. A lot of this is drug fueled, but
yeah. And you know, if you've noticed, you know, like back in 1999, we had the Columbine, shooting, which was the biggest school shooting in the history of the United States. If you've noticed, the school shootings after Columbine have been molded to be like Columbine. Because a lot of these kids have idolized Dylan and Eric.
Yeah, that makes, yeah. I don't know what to say, but I don't know where we I think we're getting back to the main point, which Swirefly brought up, which is there's a gap in our society, and there's people that it's getting worse too. And I wonder also, you know, I don't blame anything else, but what is playing a role in some people's lives with social media and escapism and detachment and, you know, that type of thing.
Just like Scott Metal had just said, that's the media's fault.
I mean, I think like if you cut off your sensory from just the outside world, you're just getting electronic sensory. So you're depriving yourself of feeling like seeing actual sunshine or actual color blue in the sky or actual color yellow or actual color green. You're just looking at a screen, like that deprivation. I lost my train of thought, but just like think about like mental health, like just the lack of sense of smell can drive people nuts. Like I'm sorry to say it like that, can drive people like very mentally ill. And there is connections to the sense of smell and like mental health. And I think like the deprivation of your senses when you detach or go into escapism and you're on a screen, and could that detachment be playing a role? Also, when we talk about addiction, what's the opposite of addiction? I don't know if anyone in the chat knows, but I'll just tell you, it's connection. I don't know if you knew that. The opposite of addiction is connection. So with people not making connections too, is it making the school shootings, sorry, I don't know what we're allowed to say on this live stream, the school unalivings, is it making them worse because of the deprivation of connection that a lot of kids are feeling? And the only connection they have is, I don't know.
Let's see, like you know, I'm Gen X. When I was a kid, and there was no internet, there was no Twitter, there was no Facebook. Our social networking when I was a kid was to go out of the house, go to the neighbor, knock on the door. Hey, can Christy come out and play? Or hey, can Mandy come out and play? Or hey, can I had a friend of mine, his name was Jeff Chrisman. Hey, can Jeff come out and play? That was our social networking, was playing with the kids in the neighborhood. And watching Saturday morning cartoons, and if we wanted to make a phone call, we used the landline phone in our house. Hey, do you want to come over? That was our social networking. I think the downfall of society, as far as the other generations, was the introduction of the internet and the introduction of cell phones. Even though it was my Generation X, who helped develop those, but were they developed to help or to hurt? Because the way I look at it, yes, it helps us, look up things. And because I was a kid, we would go on the road trip. I would be sitting in the back, and my mom would be on a paper map, pointing out destinations to my dad.
Yeah. I don't know, Robert. I think that like I found, so I might be a weird case study, because when I got married, like I'm going on my 11th year of marriage. And when I got married like 10 years ago, like right before that, when we were living together, my husband had gotten rid of all of his social media. And so I got rid of all of mine except YouTube. I started a YouTube channel right after we got married. And so we never were on Facebook, and we were never on anything. And we were never on Twitter. The only time we started dabbling in social media was during the pandemic. I don't know, Dave Portnoy did a lot of day trading. And so my husband started following him on Twitter. And that's when I started kind of once in a while checking out different people on Twitter. Anyway, my point is that when I got back onto YouTube, when my channel got suspended, like I never really thought much about the social aspect of YouTube. It was fun talking to people, fun being like, oh, cool, you're in Germany or Australia. But anyway, when I got suspended and I started looking at like the social aspect of it, I have to say, I mean, I took it to an extreme. I was constantly online, but it really helped. Like I didn't realize like what a connection I could make finding people that I had things in common with. So in this case, Idaho 4, obviously, but it was so cool I didn't realize how much I would enjoy talking in a chat room and like just conversing and having, you know what I mean? Like people with similar interests. I did not realize how much it could be like, real life friendship or whatever. But on the flip side of it too, it's not. I mean, I see the good in it too, because I think for like somebody who's maybe elderly or housebound or handicapped, or like, I can imagine the internet and the social media being an absolute lifeline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's good But when it comes to the children, we know how much dopamine it releases. And as adults, I think we self-regulate how much time we spend on social media. But for a child to get that kind of dopamine dump, like they would be completely addicted so quickly. And like, I don't know, and a new generation. I don't know, Robert. We're talking about school shootings, so that's kind of where I'm going with this. And I'll shut up and stop.
My 9-year-old. I try to limit her activity on electronic devices. As far as phones and laptops, and the only thing she really plays that she likes is her Nintendo Switch, and she plays Bluey a lot. But and I've told her, I'm like, if you want to watch something, I'm like, you have a TV in there, go watch it on your TV. She says, well, does it have YouTube Kids on there, Daddy? I'm like, yes, it has YouTube Kids on there. I'm like, if you want to watch something, go watch your TV. I'm like, you don't have to watch your phone all the time. You don't have to watch a laptop. And she just looks at me. She goes, Daddy, you're old.
Yes, you'd be like, kid, that answer is as old as the answers that come from all kids.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I may be old, but I'm wise. And she goes, I know, Daddy. That's why I love you. So
I mean, the eyesight, like though, like putting aside addiction and everything, like what's gonna happen to well, I guess we know because we've seen. We don't know. Like we haven't seen a generation that has had a constant phone in their hand and what happens to them when they're 80, because we know blue light is what causes all the damage. And we've seen elderly people before internet with like huge, thick Coke bottle glasses. So what's going to happen to all the people who fry themselves with blue light, like under the age of 20? No, I'm not trying to scare you about your daughter, but I'm just saying like a constant phone in the hand, a constant switch, and that blue light.
Yeah, see, my oldest daughter, she's 20, she's 24. She's about to be 25 in February, and she, I love her to death, but she is so totally clueless about the outside world because she's been on her phone since she was 15, and she told me one time on her 21st birthday that what's outside of her phone isn't real. What's in her phone is real life. I'm like, sweetie, no, it's not. I'm like, what goes on in your phone is not real life. I said, what goes on outside your phone is real life. I'm like, everyone has struggles. I mean, with bills and with gas and the car upkeep and in a job and she goes, Dad, that's not real to me. I'm like, it's not real to you. She goes, no, it's not real to me. She's like, what goes on in my phone with Snapchat and Facebook and TikTok? And she goes, that's real to me. I just kind of looked at her. I'm like, sweetie, I'm like, you need a good hard reality check. And she called me yesterday and she goes, Dad, guess what? I'm like, what? She goes, I got a job. I'm like, cool, because she's living in Arkansas now.
Okay.
And she's living in Arkansas with a friend of hers. And she goes, I got a job. I'm like, cool, where is she? She goes, Goodwill. I'm like, well, it's the start. I'm like, working at Goodwill is the start.
A job's a job, just working.
Yeah.
If I have to go back to work, I'm going to be a substitute yoga teacher. Not really excited about it.
Firefly says it would probably be a benefit. Everybody, if we could put down the phone and social media and just stay clear for at least 24 hours and enjoy real life.
Amen. I totally agree with you, Firefly. And then Scott Metalhead, I agreed. He says, I only got involved in internet chat rooms from day one of the Idaho case. Until then, I hardly used social media. And I've been on YouTube for 10 years, and I've never dove into the true crime community like I did after Idaho 4. And we watched everything. It started out with T-Rev and Grizzly True Crime and then it kind of branched out from there.
I still watch her.
Grizzly,
Yeah.
oh, she's wonderful. I haven't watched her in a long time, but I like her a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching on Fox tonight. I'm gonna be watching the Kamala Harris interview with Brett Baer.
Brett Baer's an excellent interviewer. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be watching that tonight. Yeah, I want to catch how many flubs she does.
I'm actually really impressed she's going on Fox News. I think they probably picked Brett Baer because he's not going to risk his journalistic integrity and throw like a zinger in there. He's going to stick with the script. But then again, he is really good at like asking covert questions too. Anyway, it's going to be a great interview.
The hard questions that she's somehow refusing to get from the other interviews. She's been getting softball questions from the other interviewers. And Scott Metalhead says, "LOL, believe it or not, JB was the first I stumbled onto by accident."
You must have been like, he's just shocked to the system when you first hear him because he speaks without a filter.
Yeah.
But then you get his style. And Robert, I gotta go make dinner. I could stay on here with you for another 2 hours and chat because it's been so long since I've talked to you. I want to say though, your voice sounds so much better than the last time I sat down and listened. So it sounds like you're getting better from my humble perspective.
Thank you.
I hope you give Yoda, your puppy, a little hug for me.
I will. Yoda's becoming a little crap.
Well, that's what she's supposed to be, a little crap. She's a puppy. That's what puppies do. That's good. That means she's healthy.
He. It's a he.
They think they're hilarious when they're that age.
Yeah, he. I had my ball python on it yesterday, Kylo, because I was cleaning his tank, and I had him in his little plastic little critter cage, and it was so I had sitting on the coffee table. It was so funny. Kylo walked up, put his paws up on the coffee table, looked at my snake, gave me this weird look, jumped down and ran.
Well, on that note, I just want to say I had first off, it was interesting to listen to this case, but aside from that, I had a really good time and good conversation with the chat. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for Christy for showing up. I kind of let her know that we were here. She was bored and wanted something to listen to. But anyway, I had a really good time talking to you guys, and I'd love to come back tomorrow night, like you said, and be on panel. And so anyway, thank you so much, Robert, for having me on.
You're welcome. I'm going live at 8 p.m. Central, so it'll be 9 p.m. your time.
Tomorrow? Okay. Yeah. Wait, 9. Okay. Sounds good. Perfect. And I'm having a members live at 11:30 tomorrow morning. So if anybody's available, it'll be fun. Private chat, small group, and hopefully Scott will be there because we're going to talk about a few things he mentioned in the chat. So anyway, have a great night, you guys. I hope.
You too. Let's see you tomorrow night.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
You little child. You're so happy all the time. You smile all the time. I wish I could see what kind of baby you would be too. Hey, baby. I loved you. I loved you with all of me, all of my heart. I loved you. I wish that the ground you walked on, when we found each other, we were both in such fragile states.
Wi-Fi equipment included, and a free streaming box.
And even now, after everything that I think has been brought to the light, hopefully it was everything, right? Even now, you look at me with the same look in your eyes that you have when you talk about Caitlyn. I don't hear the love in your voice anymore. I don't feel the love in your touch anymore. And I definitely don't see the love in your eyes anymore. Like you truly love me, like you claimed you wouldn't have done all that. Even when I was carrying your child and hating myself every fucking day, crying myself to sleep every fucking night because you did not want to have sex with me. You did not want to love me. You just did not want me. And I wanted you. I wanted you. I wanted you more than life itself. But you've proven that it was only one way. That feeling was only one way. That love, that loyalty, it was all one way. You take care of my kids. Okay? You couldn't take care of me. You couldn't love me. You couldn't do me right. So please, for the love of fucking God, do my kids right. And my kids swimming up at the river now. Bye, Daddy.
All right, moving back to State's Exhibit 18, slide 3. So is it the case that that message on slide 3 was sent the same day that video was filmed?
Yes.
Slide 4.
This is on August 22nd.
Oh, yes, it would, Firefly.
2022. There's no being past it when you have done nothing to make me feel better about myself, when you have done nothing to make me feel like you still want me like you did before, so stop.
Slide 5.
This is on September 9th. Hope you had fun with whatever bitch you met up with.
Slide 6.
Also September 9th. You can take everybody else's feelings into consideration, but you don't take mine. You can hang out with everybody else, but you don't want to hang out with me when I want you to.
Slide 7.
September 9th. I really fucking wish I never drove to North Carolina to meet you. That was the biggest mistake I could have ever made.
Slide 8.
September 9th. No matter how much I stress how I'm feeling, you don't give a shit. No matter how much I scream and cry, you don't change nothing. You say doing the same thing or being even more distant or hanging out with anybody but me.
Slide 9.
September 10th. You're the reason I'm angry every day. You're the reason I'm depressed, why I feel the way I do about myself.
Slide 10.
September 10th. When I was pregnant and moved down here for my kids, you chose other women or porn to satisfy you, not me.
Slide 11.
September 10th. When I need reassurance, you continue to change password to hide phones to have it on silent.
Slide 12.
These are both on September 17th, and they are requesting for Daniel to join Life 360.
So that text in the box, would that be text that she typed or more like a link that she sent to him?
A link.
Requesting that he do what now? Reading those first few words.
Join my Life 360 circle.
Can you tell us how far apart these two invitations were in time?
24 minutes.
Slide 13. This one is exceedingly difficult to make out on the screen. So can you walk us through what slide 13 is?
So these are both on 9/18 excuse me, all 4 of these are on 9/18, and they're all the same hyperlink sent to Daniel.
Separately.
Yes.
Slide 14.
Sent on September 21st. I'm tired of begging for sexual attention.
Slide 15.
Sent on September 21st. I'm not good enough to fuck. Not good enough to even try to fuck.
Slide 16.
Both sent on September 21st. No, I don't feel amazing. I feel like I'm a girlfriend that you got to hide your shit around because you don't want me to know what the fuck you're up to. I feel like I'm just the person that you keep around because you're comfortable with me, not because you want me. I'm tired of feeling like I'm sexually worthless.
Slide 17.
On September 21st. No, I don't know you love me. I know you're comfortable with me. I know you're used to me. I know you don't want me to love anybody else, but I do not think you love me because you do not want to have sex with me. You do not want to spend time with me if you do not want to do anything with me anymore.
Now, slide 18, this one looks different from all the other ones, right?
Yes.
Was this one, in fact, taken from Danny's phone?
Yes,
But is it from the defendant?
it is.
And can we tell that because of the phone number and the way he has her saved?
Yes.
All right. And he had her saved as what?
Lonnie baby.
Now, can you read this message for us, please? Well, actually, let me ask you this. When was this one sent?
The day before Quinn's disappearance was reported.
Okay. What date and time specifically?
October 4th.
At what time of day? And look carefully before answering, please.
It's at 1:49 a.m.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and read it, please.
So I fell asleep on the couch for a min after I came back in. Woke up because Sky was starting to fuss. So I made her a bottle, right? Then as soon as I'm about to crawl into bed with you, I hear my phone go off. So I go to check it, and it was like 360 saying, ask Daniel to charge his phone. So when I opened the app and saw that your phone was at 1%, I won't lie, it made me start to think again. And there is a possibility that I'm just overthinking. But here are what my thoughts were. He knows we got to work in the morning. He was just on his phone literally right before he laid down. Why didn't he plug it in? Well, he said he wanted me to be nice, so I guess I'll plug it in for him. My dumbass literally grabbed the charger and then went to grab your phone, but guess what? What happened when I got to that point, Danny? I couldn't find your phone. I don't understand how you expect me to believe when you say I'm not doing anything wrong or I don't have anything to hide, when one, you never let me look at your phone without a fight, even when I offer mine in exchange. Two, you always 24/7 keep your phone on you when you're awake and hide it when you're asleep. And three, never leave it around me at all. SMH. Even when we have work, even when we have work and your phone is almost dead, when it's time to lay down, you still choose to risk it, possibly dying and us missing work. All because what? Because to me, it's because you have something to hide. Because why else would anyone do anything? Because why else would anyone do the things you do if they weren't hiding something?
Do you know what SMH means?
Shake my head.
And so this would have been in the middle of the night before the morning of the trip to the dentist.
Yes.
Was there an effort made to follow up on what exactly happened at the dentist?
Yes.
Do you see in front of you a document marked as States Exhibit 21?
Yes.
What is that?
The top page is a certification of medical records from Aspen Dental. And then the following pages are the medical records from Leilani Simon's dental work.
Specifically the dental work on the morning of October 1st.
Yes.
Your Honor, I would offer these in the State's Exhibit 21.
No objection, Judge. It hasn't happened, David, in business record.
All right, and 21 is exhibit is admitted without objection.
we don't need to belabor this, but do these records show that she did in fact have a tooth pulled that morning?
Yes, Wirefly, very true.
Now, during this investigation, did you follow up with Michelle McCarty?
I did.
And did you conduct interviews with her?
Yes, I did.
Did you conduct an interview with her daughter, Talia McCarty?
Yes, I did.
And did you conduct some follow-up on Quentin himself?
Yes, I did.
Did you obtain his past medical records?
Yes,
And is this a normal step in a child death case?
it is.
Where did you yourself get medical records from?
The 2 search warrants I did were from the local pediatrics office. Well, locals in Georgia.
What was your goal in getting his medical records? To get some of them, to get all of them, what?
All of them.
Do you see in front of you a document marked as States Exhibit 27?
Yes,
And do you recognize that document?
I do.
What is it?
It is a search warrant order for medical specialists in Waynesboro, Georgia.
What type of practice is that?
I believe it's a pediatric medical facility.
And how did you know to go there for Quentin's medical records?
I believe it was in interviews with Leilani, the family, as well as Billy Joe.
That's a past pediatrics clinic that he had been seen at.
Yes,
And did you send that search warrant to that practice?
yes,
And did they turn around to you his pediatric records from there?
yes, they did.
Your Honor, I would introduce this as States Exhibit 27.
Okay.
Admit it.
Now, what is States Exhibit 28?
It is a order, an additional search warrant for some more medical records.
From what practice?
It is the J.C. Lewis Primary Healthcare here in Savannah.
I thought J.C. Lewis was a car dealership. Is that not the case?
I guess they have several buildings.
Okay. So they have a pediatrics clinic or indigent care clinic or something?
Okay, I'm going to cut the live stream because I got to go pick up my daughter from school. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night, 8 p.m. I will be going over a lot of different cases. I will have Kiki from Swamp Rose on panel. So you guys have a good Wednesday. And this is Robert with True Crime Podcast. I'm out. Peace.
I'm headed to the bottom of the bottle. I've been drowning, I've been floating away. Every other dollar that I got in bed, I probably went and it away. I ain't f***ing okay, I ain't liking it, babe. I don't even wanna talk, I'm just smoking my haze. I've been stuck in my ways, I've been stuck in for days. I've been staring at the clock as the radio plays. I'm enslaved. Yeah. Rolling another, I'm stuck in my seat for the whole control of my speech. Yeah, I've been trying to get off this couch for a minute and a whole damn week. No kidding, I'm skinny, I cannot eat. Got a million that depend on me. Yeah, every friend in my family, from a girl, every fan I meet myself. I'm too on till I'm too off.